Hey guys, thanks for tuning in to Forgotten Weapons sister channel. Hey guys, come take a look at this weird thing. I'm Ian McCollum, and I'm here today at Morphy's with this weird thing. Check this out. This appears to be a turret rifle. I should say I have no idea who made it. There are no markings on it. There is no provenance to it. It's just mechanically rather strange. Anyway, it looks like a turret rifle. It is actually a single shot rifle, and in order to load it, you do that to it. Like I said, let's take a look at this strange thing. At a glance, it really does look like a turret rifle, especially from the top. I mean, why on earth would you have this big round thing if it's not a turret full of multiple charges? Well, in fact, it is not. This is a single shot, under-hammer percussion rifle. So the forward trigger here is actually used to cock it. That is the hammer. You'll see the percussion cap nipple down in there in a moment. But to cock it, you pull that back and it snaps into place. And then this one is your firing hammer. I don't want to drop that on the cap nipple. We've got a nice long trigger guard to protect both of those. We'll get to the mechanical bits in a moment, but we'll knock this out of the way first. Sort of a Kentucky long rifle style of stock. One of these very aggressively pointed butt plates. Nice pattern to the wood. A bit of some repairs there to the stock. And then the barrel has a rear sight here that flips up. That is very much just a big old V notch. And one tiny little octagon section. This was, barrels in this period were often as not supplied as octagonal or supplied as square bar, and you could cut the corners off, turn them into octagons fairly easily. If you wanted a round barrel, that required a lot more machining because you had to turn the octagon down to be round. And so someone actually wanted that on this barrel, but they left this little chunk octagonal so that they had a nice flat place to mount the rear sight. There is nothing else on the barrel until we get to the very end where we have this little blade of a front sight. It is smooth bore, and it is approximately 44 or 45 caliber. But what we have going on here is a separate metal cylinder that's inside this. I'll take this apart in a moment, but to give you an idea here before we do, it's currently lined up with a chamber facing the barrel. This is the loading port. So the reason for breaking the gun 90 degrees like this is so that I can line up. Let's see if I can show you this a little bit better. There you go. Now you can see right there, that is the actual chamber in the gun. So when you have it at 90 degrees like this, your loading port gives you access to the chamber. You can drop in your powder charge, press in the ball or bullet, and then you put a percussion cap here on the nipple, and then you can pivot this back into position. That has now sealed off the chamber, so it's pointing that way down the barrel, and you can fire. So let me pull these two screws out and we'll take this apart, and I think it'll make a lot more sense. All right, so there's our second screw. We have this little spring cover plate that's going to come off, and then, there we go. So now, here is the actual base of the gun with these two plates top and bottom. And then this guy is our actual breech. So there is the hole that you would load with powder and ball. These two holes are what our two screws go through so that this is always locked in position relative to the frame of the gun. It's always sitting like this. You then rotate the barrel and its access port and its percussion cap hole here. This you rotate around, whoop, whoop, around this central cylinder. So that's where you load it. Now the percussion cap hole is actually open clear through the back of this thing right there. So the percussion cap is there. It's going to drop, well, shoot some fire through here into that, set off the main charge, which then goes down the barrel. So, a rather convoluted way to do a single-shot rifle, but okay, there it is. Now, where this gets a little more interesting is you can see this lug on the frame here, and there's no point to it. It's just capped off with a screw, and it doesn't do anything. It does go all the way through to the top. And then on the bottom of this cylinder, there are these 4 holes, which also do nothing at all that I can discern. However, if we put this in our main cylinder, lines up like that, guess what? Those holes, one of them at least, lines up very nicely with this lug. I suspect that this was a gunsmithing project that was originally going to be some sort of turret-ish multi-shot thing of some sort. And I think the gunsmith got working on this part where you would have 4 ways that you could index this thing, and then decided that something wasn't going to work quite right. Exactly what? I don't know. Maybe he didn't make this large enough in diameter to actually accommodate 4 chambers of any useful depth. That actually seems pretty clear. This one chamber is deeper than you would get on almost any turret rifle, and it would be reasonably powerful. But if you tried to have multiple charges in this, they'd be very, very wimpy because they could only go in about that far. Or maybe there was some entirely other purpose to this, but it looks like this and this plug were originally intended for the same purpose. Not sure what that purpose is, but something. And when that failed, they kind of went back and accepted just a single-shot system instead. A very interesting, very unusual single-shot system. But I think that is what was going on there. Anyway, you can see, let's see, line this up. You want the little divot in the front there. When you rotate this, whoop, there's access to your chamber, and there it is sealed up. Well, if you've ever seen one of these before, please let me know down in the comments if you have any idea what its provenance might actually be. Barring anyone showing up with a really cool, detailed, documented story behind something like this, it will unfortunately remain a complete mystery, but it never ceases to surprise me how people always come up with different ways to achieve this end of firing a projectile out of a barrel. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching.